Then there's the opposite, ill will and agitation. And in meditation, the hindrance is obviously your leg is asleep, your back hurts, you have been sitting for a while now, and now you're getting, somewhere in your body hurts, you don't want to sit anymore, you need to pee, or you're thirsty, or something uncomfortable is happening. And that is normally where we stop talking about the hindrances in Buddhism. And I think it's a pity, because my goodness, the hindrances of ill will and agitation, it's so present in our life all the time. And this is the one that I can see now. I'm going to go over time just so you're aware, because this one is a big one. This is really a big one, because when we talk about ill will and anger and agitation, the part about the hindrances feeding one another and feeding itself is so apparent when it comes to ill will and anger, that you might be annoyed about something that is happening, but if you react to that annoyance, you will activate and cultivate hate and anger in you. First anger, and then the anger, when you continue to cultivate that, and by cultivate I mean acting out on it, then you will go into hate, and you will go into resentment of the other person. And it has nothing to do with the other person. You have done that in you all by yourself. Nobody else was present. You did that all by yourself. And that is how powerful the hindrances are, and especially the hindrance about ill will and anger, that it's that powerful, that if you react to it, it will feed itself, and it will become bigger. It will become bigger. In my teachings, I use what I call the 4 guidelines as kind of like a guideline to when you are deluding yourself with the hindrance of anger and ill will. And it's blaming, shaming, complaining, and explaining. Whenever you're blaming somebody else for whatever you're feeling right now, you are making yourself smaller, because you say that somebody else can influence how you feel. So you can't blame anything on other people. It might also be that you wanted to take the train and the train got canceled, and now you're blaming it on, your frustration is being blamed on somebody else. Then you're taking an experience that you have in your life and you're putting it on somebody else. And it has always to do with your expectation. Your expectation, you had decided how you wanted things to happen, and that thing did not happen like that. And then you get aggravated and angry about it, which has nothing to do with anybody else but your expectation. The issue wasn't your expectation. Complaining is about when somebody does something that you do not agree with. So you had an expectation about somebody else doing something else, and they didn't do how you wanted them to do. So it's all about control. You complaining about other people is about you being frustrated that you can't control other people. The shaming is it's a bit more toxic. It's where you make other people feel the frustration that you have in you. So you take something that you experience and put on other people so they experience with you, as if your pain becomes any less. And then the explaining, it's the justifying that we had about before. I'm going to make a video where I talk about the 4 guidelines and how it's quite extensive when you start to look into it. It's also why in my teaching in my groups that we have, I think is about a month where we talk about them, and kind of like unravel how it's affecting our lives. But the problem with the 4 guidelines are meant for you to become aware of when you are in it, and And so you can kind of, pull yourself out of it, act with wisdom, pull yourself up and being an observer of what is going on instead of being a victim for yourself because you're the only one suffering in this. And then it's also about you becoming aware of your speech. That's another thing that I'm going to make a separate video about. And it's, again, in the suttas, it's very, very clear how we're supposed to speak to other people and to ourselves. Everything is not only about other people, it always starts with yourself. So it's very much about how you speak with yourself as well. But your talk, be aware of when you are lying. Even though it's a little white lie, as we call it, it doesn't help, adding a color and a size to a lie. A lie is a lie. So becoming aware of when you're lying. Normally we say, yeah, but a little white lie is because we want to spare them for some feelings. No, it's not. No, it's not. You want to spare you, and that's why you're lying. And that is a part of the ill will, not being present. Another part of your speech is slander, or when you are creating disharmony, either between other people or between you and other people. So if you're not communicating with kindness and compassion and love and contentment with other people, and you're creating disharmony, then it's about you. It's about your hindrance in you, about your ego. You need to look at you because you are the one talking. It's the same with being rude, or being impolite, or being abusive in your language towards other people, using profanities, using threatening words. Again, it has nothing to do with the other person. It's you who wants to control the other person, what the other person is doing and thinking, and you want to control it. It's all about your hindrances in your life, how you are keeping you away from an awakening and becoming aware. And then it's idle chatter and gossip. I mean, idle chatter, the people that just like talk, and they don't say anything. It's just a compilation of words that makes no coherent sense in any way. It's just, idle chatter. But it's also gossip. Gossip in many ways are also creating disharmony in you, partly because you are talking about somebody that's not present. You're talking about them behind their back. But also in the other person, you're creating you're putting a stick in the wheel in the relationship that the other person have to the one that you're gossiping about. So gossip is super, super toxic, very, very toxic. I'm going to make a video where I talk about the speech precepts from Buddhism, where the Buddha is very, very clear about the different ways we talk and communicate that is saying so much about us and nothing about the other person. It's never about the other person. It's always about you. And it says so much about you, who you are as a person, how much you are holding you back with the hindrances in your life away from your awakening. And then there's a really good advice also in one of the suttas where the Buddha says that before you say something to somebody else, then you should ask yourself if these 4 things are present, and all of them need to be present. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? And is it now? I mean, is it now that you should say it? Is it the right time to say it right now? So if it's not kind, just be quiet. Don't say anything. And to the question, is it true? Well, you can always ask that, can you? Because the majority of times, whatever you perceive as reality is not true. It's only true to you, which means that you need to be very, very careful with how you talk and what you say, Because if you're just talking about what is true to you, then it might not be relevant for the other person. It's relevant for you and your therapist, but it's not really relevant for the other person. And then helpful. If you're not supporting another person in moving, inwards, upwards, and forwards, then just be quiet. And the last one is very important. A lot of times when I have seen that, yes, it's kind, and yes, it's helpful, and yes, it's true, but it's not the right time. And then you're just quiet. Then you don't say anything. And the sentence for this is, with truthful communication, I purify my speech. And it's about the speech precepts. If you want to Google it and look into it, then it's about the speech precepts. When we talk about ill will and agitation and anger, the antidote to that is always metta. And metta is loving kindness. In Buddhism, loving kindness is like the foundation for everything. And there's a metta meditation where you take your time and you divide it into 5. And the first period, you send loving kindness to yourself. That you make sure that you view yourself with loving kindness. Then it's another person that you care about, somebody that's close to you in your life that you really love, that you're sending loving kindness to. And then it's a stranger. So it's somebody that you don't know. It might be somebody that you passed in the street today. It might be the bus driver. It might be, your neighbor's daughter that, you have heard is sick. You never met her. But then that is the person that you send loving kindness. And in the 4th state, it's a person that you have an issue with. It can be somebody from work. It can be a neighbor that has an issue with you and your hedge. It can be like anybody that you have an issue with, but it can also be somebody that has an issue with you. And then you send loving kindness to that person. And in the 5th state, it's to all of us. Every living being is being sent loving kindness. And that is the antidote for the hindrance of ill will and agitation. Whenever you have a feeling, any of the feelings that I've talked about now, where it's about ill will, whether it's about blaming, shaming, complaining, explaining, the lies, rude, abusive language, idle chatter, gossip, all of that, all of the things I just talked about now, whenever you catch yourself in that feeling, start with giving metta to yourself. I love me, I appreciate me. I'm here for me. I'm here for me to reach awareness, becoming aware, becoming awake. That's why I'm here. I'm going to breathe now, be present with me right now, not being in the past, not being in the future, but just being right here with me right now, and sending loving kindness to yourself. Start by doing that. And if you still feel anger or agitation or ill will or annoyance about somebody else, then send it to them. Open up for loving kindness towards them. The one that you are so annoyed at, send them loving kindness. Wish them well. Wish them a good health. Wish them a bright future. Wish them a good night's sleep and a happy, healthy life. So the antidote to ill will and agitation is metta.